Now, as per normal, this is a dev server, so everything is subject to change, and well, it won't be coming to live server exactly as you see it here. Oh, I spawned in the airfield and now I'm bouncing up and down. What the fuck's going on here? What's going on? Oh my god, everyone's floating, and I'm bouncing. Bounce, 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 bounce. I'm gonna bounce into a tree, so bouncy. La 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 la. Dev server working as intended. Bounce, dev server. I hope you enjoyed that musical number by yours truly. And this is the dev server, and this is the F-86K. Well, everyone's going on about the new OP aircraft at 4.7. I believe it's that, I don't know, I can't even remember the name of the vehicle now. It's the one with the 20 bombs underneath the aircraft. I thought I'd just take out this thing. This is probably my most anticipated vehicle of the patch. Probably won't take too long to unlock it. But, you know, I don't really have a lot of service history playing sabres. I'm more of a G91 fan. And, well, I thought it'd be interesting just to sort of feel what this aircraft sort of had. Obviously, there's a bunch of bugs, and it doesn't quite feel like a sabre, but also doesn't quite feel right in the way that the vehicle should act. Obviously, it has radar, but it doesn't actually have radar implemented at the moment. We said that at a later date. Who knows? The missiles take a long time to lock on, and firing them is an absolute pain in the rear. So, again, AIM-9Es, as we get taken out by a Bradley anti-air defense attack system or something along those lines. I forget what that stands for. And there was barely anyone playing on the dev server. It seems that this patch is kind of just a mediocre, you know, sort of content grind. It's just there just to satisfy. And I mean, there's 6 aircraft. Although there is a 7th, a Yak-3U, or Yak-3 something or other, I can't exactly remember. And of course there's always the anti-air defense vehicles, which are always interesting. I mean, there's a couple of other vehicles that are coming too, but there wasn't a great deal of content. And it was mainly focused around the Imperial Japanese Navy, and while I understand that might be an important focus for Gaijin, to, you know, try and revitalise that game mode, because they've invested a load of time into that, I don't think they understood that it's literally less than 10% of the player base who actually plays ships, only because A, the maps are so bad, and, well, the grind is absolutely abysmal. So you've got a multitude of different factors working, especially considering that they said, oh, we're not going to develop bigger ships, because you guys don't want bigger ships, so we're going to develop patrol boats, at which point that basically killed the community's interest in anything related to ships. It's like, oh, how do we balance that? And then, you know, 2.5 years later, they finally, you know, start testing, like, bigger vessels of types, and it was just like, really? It's a little too late. It really was. And, well, this brings us on to the F-86K, probably one of the only few things that I actually managed to, or bothered to actually get more footage of. I would have done more videos, but, again, lackluster content, and it just felt really bad. Again, it was bug-ridden to absolute hell. The whole entire dev server was just unplayable. As you saw in the intro and the start there, spawning in basically anything was a death sentence in a way. There were so many sound bugs, so many visual glitches, actually reloading and rearming glitches. There were missiles weren't firing correctly, targets weren't tracking properly. Hell, the F-86K didn't even have its forward nose radar, which is mounted in the front of the vehicle. Like, there was a lot of things that were wrong with the dev server. But anyway, I thought I'd check out the F-86K because it's a very interesting aircraft. Obviously, France, following World War II, the French industry took a lot of time to recover, and, well, this was especially true in the aircraft manufacturing industries. Thus, they began rebuilding the French Air Force, or the Arme de l'Air. I can't even do French, don't even bother. Many foreign types were purchased. They had F-84Gs and T-33 trainers. They started to arrive from the United States. Later they had F-84Fs and F-100s, and begin to equip many French squadrons, and these machines were supplied under NATO, as France was a member at this particular time, and when they withdrew from NATO in 1966, they basically sought new fighters. Now, in the interceptor role, France had planned to deploy the Dassault Mirage, the prototype in which flew in 1955. However, delays in getting the production Mirage 3C and the Voiture 2N saw the French Air Force looking to buy interim aircraft off the shelf. The F-86 was chosen for this particular requirement, and, well, a new unit was formed to receive these Sabres, and the unit was activated on 1st of March 1955 in West Germany under the leadership of Commandant Risso. However, the delivery of the first F-86s did not begin until some time later. This is quite interesting because the F-86K is an export fighter. It was built by the US predominantly as an export fighter, and, well, it's really interesting. Now, it was built in France by Fiat, which is an Italian company. NATO, North American obviously built a considerable amount of them, 120 of which, and Fiat assembled machines would then equip the French and German air forces, as well as that of the Italians, with F-86K. So it was a massive sort of European joint effort, as many companies do, and you people decided to have a go at me in the comment section of my last dev server video, in fact the very first one, due to the fact that I called Fiat a French company. What I meant to say, again this was at like 4 in the morning when the server went live, that this was a joint project between multitude of countries, and North American was just supplying Fiat, who was the main producer in Europe of the F-86K, to other nations. So there you go. In June of 1960, Fiat began a further modification of the F-86K, fitting with Sidewinder missile launch rails, and at least 29 aircraft eventually were converted. However, this modification extended the useful life of the aircraft, but in June of 1961, a fighter meet at Colmar, 2 new Mirage 3Cs were unveiled, and, well, that was basically the end of the F-86. It wasn't until January of 1962 where all older squadrons relinquished its Sabres, passing them on to Italy, and thus began the Mirage conversion. But the units still operated Sabres while the Mirage conversion was completed, and a lot of these transferred aircraft began transferring to Italian squadrons in early 1962. So we could see this aircraft within War Thunder in the Italian tech tree as well, because again they did use them, and so did Germany. And at the end of the war, Germany's frontline aircraft of the Air Force, the Luftwaffe, were either destroyed or shipped overseas for investigation. And, well, at a NATO meeting in Paris on the 23rd of October 1954, member states allowed to, well, reform the German Army, Navy and Air Force. And when it came to rebuilding Germany's armed forces, the aircraft produced for the new Luftwaffe were purchased from overseas as a result of the post-war provisions. Nonetheless, progress was rapid, and the Luftwaffe had 20 wings of aircraft, including all-weather fighters, by 1960. A number of aircraft types were all investigated to fill these roles, including F-86F, F-100D, and the former F-994 Starfire. The later eventually became to the choice down to the Canadair Sabres in the day fighter mission, and F-86 as the all-weather interceptors. So yeah, just a little bit of brief history on the F-86K. Obviously, other nations that used it were Honduras, Venezuela, Germany, Italy, Holland, and Norway. So there is quite a bit of use for this particular aircraft, and, well, they weren't really retired, and the last aircraft, or last F-86, was not retired until 1986. So, you know, there was that. And a lot of them were being withdrawn into South American countries as the years progress. But it should be an interesting fighter to see in War Thunder. I'm actually quite liking it. The maneuverability is decent. The firepower is okay. The 20mm cannons are really nice. The air-to-air missiles are good, but not great. Again, they're early model versions, the AIM-9Bs, not anything else. And, well, that's really a bit about it. Its speed is mediocre at best, and there's not really a great deal to say about the aircraft. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, lads. Thank you very much to everyone who's supported the channel recently. It's been utterly fantastic. Thank you to the patrons, thank you to everyone else, And my name's Ash, and I'll catch you in the next one.